Hi, my name is Scott Elmer. I am the Chief Partnerships and Programs Officer at the Harris County Flood Control District. What inspired me to become an engineer? I think it goes all the way back to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Red River Navigation Project that was done in Louisiana in the 1970s to early 1980s. My family grew up in South Louisiana on the banks of the Red River. My family had property adjacent to the river, and the Corps of Engineers was doing a big navigation project on there. Lots of cool bulldozers and drag lines and heavy equipment going on, and my dad became friends with one of the foremen on the project, and he said, "Hey, you need to learn what's going on. Come take a look at this." And the Corps of Engineers took me out on several trips, showed me what I was doing. I would go out and I'd talk to them, and I was really impressed by how they're taking a major river in the United States and rechannelizing it, and all the science and the engineering behind that, and that kind of drove my interest to become an engineer. And what was really interesting about that is I was not the original audience. My older sister did a 4-H project on describing the project and explaining the project, and I tagged along. So I was probably started off in the 12-year to 14-year age range when I was tagging along. She did not go into engineering. She went to be an attorney, but I stayed with the engineering side of it. My role with the Flood Control District as an engineer is kind of non-traditional. Most of the time when you think about an engineer, engineers will do feasibility studies, they'll design projects, they'll design a whole bunch of different things. I have done all that as I've grown up in engineering, as I've advanced in the engineering community, but my role is to take the engineering aspects of what we do in flood control and relate those to partnership opportunities with state, local, and federal agencies and governments, figure out how we can best serve the community that entrust us with their tax dollars, and how we can partner with other people in delivering flood mitigation projects. The other big part of that role is to solve problems. One of the things that is a major part of my role is when a project starts going sideways, getting a little off track, when circumstances change, when undiscovered items come up, to work with the design team and figure out a way to solve the problem, make that course correction, and keep that project on track. My advice to young engineers or to students interested in engineering is kind of going to break into two parts, because I approach engineering in a non-traditional manner. I did not immediately go to school and become an engineer. I went to school and got a liberal arts degree. I always did construction, I always did engineering type work. So my wife actually told me, "You're an engineer, go back to school and get your degree in engineering." So I now have 2 degrees, one in liberal arts, one in engineering on that. And so I approach engineers a little differently than most on that. And what that made me realize is that engineering is a very technical field. And you have to learn all your basic math, all your basic sciences, all your engineering courses, learn how traffic works, learn how to design a wastewater plant, learn how to design a building, all that traditional engineering type work. But if you cannot explain that engineering to your 95-year-old grandmother and have her understand it, it's not good engineering. So that aspect of engineering that I think is so critical that it's not really covered in engineering school is translating engineering speak, engineering design into real-world applications and getting people to understand and appreciate not just the value of the engineering, but quite frankly, the beauty of the engineering on that. So learn your math and sciences, learn all your basic engineering, but also look at the big picture. Don't just know how things work, but know why things work. I have been with the Flood Control District for about 7.5 years on that. Prior to my time at the Flood Control District, I worked my way up from an engineering intern at one of the local cities in Harris County, and moved and held every position basically through the Public Works Department in the engineering side, became the Director of Public Works, became the city engineer, and then ultimately the Assistant City Manager. So in government, I have been working in engineering and government for about 33 years now. So what I think makes engineering special is a couple things, but it all goes down to that we live in an increasingly urbanized society. Let's take Harris County, for example. In the Harris County metropolitan region, we have about 5.5 million people on that. Without engineering, we would not be able to support 5.5 million people. We would not be able to provide safe drinking water. We would not be able to provide wastewater treatment. We would not be able to provide transportation systems that get people to and from where they go. Engineering is the basis and the bedrock for our ability for people to have a high quality of life on that. And that is really what we're at. If you actually look at the numbers, there has been more improvements and the greater reason for people having extended lifespans due to engineers, not the medical community, because we're providing safe drinking water, safe wastewater treatment, safe roadways. And when you look at that, engineering has a direct impact on people's quality of life, their ability to live together in a community of our size at, quite frankly, exceeds the carrying capacity of the land in its native state on that. So it really is the bedrock for modern society. To all engineers out there, new engineers, existing engineers, people that may want to be an engineer, and hopefully you will, because we need more engineers, happy Engineering Week.